When I picked up the new Fall of Cybertron toys, I was geared up to talk on any of them, so I left the choice to the Facebook fan page with a poll. There is a lot here, big changes to the old molds, very cool new Starscream, and a surprising favorite for the entire wave. So, let's see who they ended up picking. Wow. Yeah, I can't review Kickback yet, can I? This one confused a lot of people since they already made a War for Cybertron Soundwave as a deluxe, but for me, this seemed perfect, because it gives me another shot at what I really wanted out of that toy. So let's start with the basics, and as you've probably noticed, he's not a cassette recorder. This time, he's a communications truck. You know, the kind with no visible satellite or radar or anything. Okay, they just made it up. It's Soundwave. He has to be a communication something, right? Well, as an armored truck, the communications thing is a big beast of a vehicle, which I quite like. Sure, it's not that bulky in the game, but there's a reason for that we'll get to later. For now, let's look at details, like the brush guard on the front that makes him look like he's going to eat VW Beetles on the highway. Along the sides, we have the series' familiar bright streaks of Energon lines on the toy, and translucent wheels for getting the energized look from the game. Missing some of the silver from the model, but added red deco instead. Not sure why, but it helps break up the blue, which I don't mind. The red is also found on the top, where it's the color of a chair. No, I don't know why he has a chair on the roof. Maybe it's the gunner chair for the weapon that can be mounted here. Soundwave's familiar shoulder gun that may or may not have been a gun. I never saw it fire anything. It's gray instead of blue, but that's not really bugging me. Might be the red chair distracting me, I don't know. The rear takes the most liberties from the game model, but the Deluxe did the same, and sometimes you just have to make sacrifices to get an armored communication truck with no satellite dish to turn into a robot. To look at both side by side, the Deluxe is more accurate to the game, but there's very important reason for that. Don't know why I'm being so cryptic, everyone knows what this toy does. So let's transform him and get to robot mode. For the most part, he transforms the same way as the Deluxe, but accomplishes it with fewer transformation steps. I actually like that. Too often, I'm put off by a toy that's overly complex. To streamline the transformation despite the added gimmick kinda shows how overthought some toys might have been. The end result? A brute of a Soundwave that looks and feels like it's worth the Voyager price point. I love the silhouette on this toy with the wide shoulders that come up to tall points. Very powerful looking. The colors are well done here. There's a balance between the blue and the gray, and it's broken up pretty well by the occasional gold and red. This is the real reason I don't mind the shoulder gun being gray. It would get lost amongst all the blue otherwise. As long as we're close up, how nice is that head sculpt? It's set off by a really nice light piping, the only piece of translucent red on the toy, so you know they were trying here. Normally, I'm against light piping, since most of the time you need to stick a 1,000-watt halogen bulb right behind their head to get it working. Anything less and the eyes are black and dead. This is a perfect shade though, and even in dim light you can see the colors really well. Detailing wise, there's a lot sculpted into this toy, extra panel lines and mechanical details everywhere. More important to me though are the details changed from the Deluxe. Let's look at that for a second. While I do like this toy, it has issues I don't like. I don't like how skinny the torso looks, or how the brush guard sticks out like he's pregnant. Also not a fan of the unpainted legs or the roof kibble under his feet like he's wearing snowshoes. Luckily, the new Soundwave lives in warmer climates and has much better feet, and the torso of course is very improved, right down to the belly spikes being flat like the game model. Only real issue with the chest, the Decepticon symbol is so pale in color it's hard to see on that translucent chest window. Besides that, I greatly prefer the look, and function-wise the two are quite a bit alike. Probably from being engineered the same way, go figure. You get rotation in the neck and full motion in the shoulders. In fact, there's more than full motion. If you want the shoulders to stay up high, there's extra joints to move the arms outward without them. The bicep swivel, full range elbow, and wrist rotation is nice too. No waist rotation, but universal hip joints, swivel above the knee, and, listen for it, ratchet joints. It's been a while since I've heard them. Nice to see your return here. No real ankle poses, but the transformation joints let you hinge them back if you want. This is mostly the same articulation as the Deluxe, just with a lot more hinges instead of ball joints. Take that for what you will.
And now for the main event of the evening.
The big question, why get this toy if I already have the Deluxe? Well, aside from all the things I find improved, you do it for the Gimmick, a modernized version of the original G1 cassette Gimmick, so Soundwave can summon his minions to do his bidding whenever he needs. Kinda like Pokemon, if Ash pulled the Pokeballs from his own ribcage. The button on his shoulder unlocks the chest. He even has a hand molded to look like he's pressing it himself. It reveals the cavity where the minions, in the form of data discs, can store away, 2 at a time, or 3 if you leave the door open and run up Soundwave's heating bill. But you only get one to start with, Laserbeak. As a data disc, it's round, very round, and disc-like. Since it's too thick to be a CD, we have circuitry design on the top to get across that, while looking like a red hockey puck, he is a data device. He'll transform when a button on the underside is pressed, like a Bakugan, except instead of rolling him over a card, we're going to shoot him at a Soundwave's chest. The back piece is covering a plunger that we're going to fire him out with. Just open the door and give it a push. The Gimmick is actually really effective. It's not the most gentle Gimmick I've ever seen, but it replicates the effect from the cartoon rather well. So let's look at Laserbeak properly. You'd never call him a condor here, but everything to be a bird is here, tail feathers and all. Part of the automorph flips the shells of the disc over to form the wings, an extra bit of effort that really sells the transformation. There's some added detail around too, like on his back, where you can make out the vents from the guns on the G1 toy. It'd be nice to see them painted to get the right effect, but it's a nice addition. Speaking of lack of paint, the head is completely untouched. Not even the eyes are painted in, which is really annoying and makes Laserbeak seem like an afterthought compared to the nice deco on Soundwave. Also, no legs, no mounting on Soundwave's arm. You lied to me, box art! The stock photo lied too. Why does he have G1 Prime's gun? He doesn't come with it. I feel like the box designer is tricking me. I will give you one warning about the toy. Get ready to do some simple modification. It seems to be hit and miss whether or not the Gimmick works smoothly due to how tight everything fits. For me, Laserbeak kept catching inside Soundwave, so I had to sand down some of the plastic around the sides to get it working well. Not everyone's had to, though, and it's very easy to do if you do have to do it. Oh, and the best part? The Gimmick works in both modes. That's the reason for the red chair. It gives you a place to use the plunger in this mode. Let's see it. Okay, so it's not quite as effective as robot mode, but it is there. Credit for that, right? It takes a lot of extra work to get this kind of thing working in both modes. So is it worth paying for again if you have the Deluxe? For me, the Gimmick sells it. They're even selling his extra minions the same way they did in G1. So for me, it's a very complete take on a modern Soundwave. If all you're after is his representation though, you're not gaining much else, and the better looking robot mode is offset by being so much bigger than Megatron and Starscream. For me, it fixes a lot of the things that bugged me about the Deluxe, and adds a lot of the function I wanted it to have in the first place. I'd say it's worth picking up. And with 3 versions already in the wild, it's not like you have a lack of options here. If you've got the Deluxe, go get either blaster. And if you didn't get to vote for one of the Deluxes, I do link to the Facebook fan page below for a reason, guys. Who knows, I might put the next one up to a vote. You have to pay attention.